points and hopefully beyond. We'll have everything going for us to get those 3 points back that we gifted them.
This is the first of many games that will come.
History will continue.
Welcome, everybody. I'm David Goss, and thanks for joining us here for the inaugural MLS Classics remix. We are going to watch the best games in the 25 years of Major League Soccer's history, but we're going to do it in a little bit of a different way with the people who are down on the field making these things happen, the people who were at the games covering them and telling us what those moments meant and what went into them and how else could we start it. One of the iconic moments in MLS history, which led to one of the most outrageous games in league history, which now has spurred one of the rivalries that we live for year in and year out in MLS. It was El Tráfico exactly 2 years ago where this all got started. This will be our first broadcast here now, and we'll be coming with these to you twice a week going forward. And who else to be with us but some of the players who are down on the field? We've got Chris Pontius, who is an 11-year MLS veteran and a former LA Galaxy player. We've got Benny Feilhaber, who is a 10-year MLS veteran and a former LAFC player. And, of course, you know him from our channels over and over again, Mr. Calen Carr, former MLS great, and was covering this game out in LA, guys. How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Doing well.
A lot of energy there. I'm excited.
Doing better than 2 years ago.
That I believe.
Benny.
There's a lot to come.
I had to do an MLS Classic on the MLS Cup, so yeah,
brutal.
This one's going to be nicer to sit back and relax.
At least you scored.
So
in
let's
that game,
start
though.
with this, Chris. What's your overarching memory when we asked you to do this game? When you think about this matchup, March 31st, 2018, what comes?
Game to kind of watch back in my career, I would choose this one. The hype around the game, and rarely do you have a hyped up game kind of turn out the way this one did and live up to the hype. Sometimes they can kind of go and pass, and be just not what everyone expected them to be. So this one lived up to the hype, and it set the standard for what this rivalry has become.
And Benny, for you, coming in from the other side,
I mean,
no, there's a little trepidation to rewatch this from your side.
Yeah, I think so. I've never watched this game in full, since I played it, but I've seen little clips, and yeah, unfortunately for me, mine's a more specific moment where I kind of opened the door for the Galaxy. Lost the ball to Servando Carrasco, and it led to Sebastian's goal that gave him some life. Before that, it seemed like that game could have gone from 3-0 to even worse. But I opened the door for him a little bit. And, I mean, credit to Servando. I mean, he made a good play as well. They were pressing us a little bit, and something that I'll remember not too fondly from that game.
Well,
A lot
we could
happened
be here
after
to
that.
remind
In
you
your
of
defense,
it,
Benny. Yeah.
What's that?
A lot happened after that too. So.
Yeah, we didn't react the right way, but that gave Chris and his team a little bit of life there.
Calen, what do you remember about this day?
Oh, man, this was a wild one because I actually was in Manchester just the week beforehand for the Zlatan announcement. So I remember being there, and it was the same day that they had hired a lion, Brendan Hannon and company at the Galaxy had got a live lion to show up. And so the first half of the day, I was basically just kind of like in awe of this lion, and then the other lion shows up. And he's telling me all these crazy things as far as I'm coming to conquer the United States. And I think my last question was something like, what do you want your legacy to be in MLS? And he just said, I came, I conquered, I left. And I was like, I was like, man, what a weird day. And then a week later, I'm in Los Angeles. And I was like, oh, this dude was for real. Like, this was not a joke the entire time. So, yeah, this will be a fun one to relive.
Calen Carr was the original Joe Exotic. We just didn't know 2 years ago. And that might not be the craziest story that we're going to get here today. You guys are going to take us through what this experience was like. For everyone out there watching on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, you can send us comments. You can ask questions that I'll bring to these players. Let's start with the starting lineups, though, before we get into it. Benny, this was your squad, you starting in central midfield. Some interesting names on here, but, of course, Carlos Vela, the big one.
Yeah, I think the most interesting part of this is that Carlos is playing as the 10 in central midfield, and actually Latif is playing where Carlos is more known to be for LAFC, and so Latif's kind of found his way as a central midfielder, and Carlos, we usually see him on the right a little bit more. So that's the first thing right off the bat that kind of jumps out at me.
And when you look at the rest of this group, obviously Walker Zimmerman ends up winning Defensive Player of the Year. Didn't start in this game. It was Simon and Dejan Jakovic on that back line, which ends up being a very important part of this game. On the flip side, for the Galaxy, Chris, this was actually your first career start for the LA Galaxy, and you got it. A little bit of a Mod Podge lineup for you guys.
Yeah, we're without Alessandrini, Gio, and Jonah. So our 3 DPs, obviously Ibra is on the bench. So, still a good lineup, but, from the year before, there was a lot of turnover. So we're relatively a new group as well. A lot of new faces and a bunch of people that haven't played together a whole lot there.
Coming off one win and a draw coming into this one for the Galaxy. Let's get to the game, guys. Let's get to where it all happened. And for you guys, we talked a little bit coming on before here about the lead up to this game and how different it was. Take us into those moments before the game with all the fans in the crowd when you guys came out to warm up.
Yeah, just even prior to this, 45 minutes prior to us walking out, LAFC was...
There he is.
There, that's my old roommate Dejan Jakovic there. But no, the LAFC fans were packed in there. They were loud. It was that's when I kind of realized, okay, this hype is there for the game. I knew it was there prior, but that the fans were all excited for it as well.
Yeah, I'd never seen anything like that. When we went out 1 hour and a half before the game kicked off, and you kind of look at the field, our entire section of fans, of LAFC fans, were out there singing. And so it was so loud in that stadium with only, 1/10 of the stadium filled in, or not even that, with LAFC fans. So I'd never seen that before in MLS. It was pretty cool to see that.
Yeah,
Calen, what do you remember about the lead up?
Well, I was actually outside the stadium for a lot of the lead up doing live interviews. I think we were doing a live stream as well with Susanna Collins, and we were just going around getting fan reaction, things like that. And I don't know, it was cool. It was the first time either of these teams had played. You didn't really know what to expect from the rivalry. But I don't think LAFC had even played a home game yet, so this was the closest that they could get to being at home. And I think they had blacked out the section. With all the LAFC fans were already in the stadium way early. So we were interviewing mostly Galaxy fans, but somehow everybody, 2 days later, all had a Zlatan jersey already. The hype in this one was definitely real, but we had no idea that this was about to go down the way it did.
A little bit of an indication, though, of what we were looking at. Benny, you gave a nice little team speech there. What was the fire-up message?
I have no idea what I said there. I'm not much of a fire-up guy, so it was probably something tactical. But yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly what I said. I don't remember.
And this game kicked off, and it was the third game of the season for you guys, Benny, for LAFC. You guys had kind of rolled all over RSL in the last game. You played a little different at Seattle in the first game. What was the mindset? What was the idea of how you wanted to play this?
Well, I think so. The first game we played against Seattle, we didn't even know what kind of team we were. We went out there. We knew it was going to be a tough game. We ended up playing very deep, sitting back. We defended for our lives. We scored an early goal, so I don't think that's the way Bob envisioned the team, as we can see now. The way he envisioned it. So against Salt Lake, we still played a little bit more of like a counterattack game, and we scored some unbelievable goals on the counterattack. And it gave us a lot of confidence. And so we were kind of in between that. Should we, take it to them, try and play? And I think you see a little bit of both in this game. Again, as much as Bob, harped on the things that he wanted to work on, I don't think we actually had a complete identity as to how we were going to play, every single game from minute 1 to 90. And so there's moments in this game where you can see us, really taking it to them, seeing things that they do nowadays, playing through the lines, finding the next guy in the central midfield, then opening up the players on the wing, whether it be Latif in this game or Diego. And then there's times where we kind of sit back a little bit and wait, invite them to come a little bit, see if we can counter a little bit. And I think that's, us still trying to figure out what kind of team we were, what was our best way of playing, and still trying to understand exactly what Bob wanted from us.
Chris Pontius knows exactly what happens to start this game, so he just drops straight off.
Yeah, where'd he go?
He was like, I'll show up in the 60th when I start scoring goals, I think was his message. No, he's having internet issues, so we're trying to patch him back in, as of course we are all
it's all right.
Separate places at home.
The first half was very one-sided anyway, so I'll leave after the 60th, and I can be on until then.
Benny,
so
you see
do we
Carlos
have to get one of
inside
the boards,
here.
though?
What's that,
Benny,
Taylor?
Carlos played inside, and then you see Latif here just got pushed to the ground by Ashley Cole. Playing outside, why do you think he started in the middle, and how long did it take before you kind of recognized that he was maybe a little bit better out in the wing?
You mean Carlos?
Yeah, oh, there he is.
So
Oh, guys, sorry.
No worries, dude. You guys haven't touched the ball yet.
Yeah, I heard you talking. I've been watching.
So Carlos, I think he was so obviously he's the most important player on that team, then and now, and I think Bob's biggest responsibility was to try and find where he's the most productive for our team. And so he's played throughout the 2+ years that he's been there. He's played as the 10. He's played as the right winger. He's played as the 9 and as a forward. So he's played several positions, and I think it took a while to kind of, build the team around him so that he could be as good as he is now, playing mostly on the right side. So in the beginning, we didn't have all the players playing in sync, and so we wanted to get him on the ball as much as possible. So I think a lot of times he played as the 10. I think he played as the 10 against Salt Lake as well, and I think against Seattle. And so he obviously played there again with Latif playing as the winger, which is what he was most comfortable with playing in Kansas City the year before, up until Bob found a new position for him in 2019.
That's a perfect example. I just saw Carlos plays it wide to Latif, who tucks it onto his left foot and tries to score it. Like that's the goal that Carlos scores so many times. So
exactly.
It took a little while to figure it out, but yeah. And also to credit to move Latif to the middle, because he's turned into incredible player there.
Yep.
Yeah, there's
what I will say about. I was just going to say what I will say about LAFC and what they continue to do, even to this day, is their players, especially their attacking.
Here's the goal, by the way.
Yeah, hang on one second.
Not a bad finish.
No, we've seen a few of those since then.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the time it was
Jesus
like, wow,
Christ.
he can wrap his foot around one.
I remember thinking in this game, this is the third game of the year, obviously, for us as a team. And I remember thinking in this game, I think I looked at Beta. It was actually after the third goal. But I remember looking at Beta. I was like, dude, all we got to do is kind of defend properly and then just kick the ball up to these guys, and they do crazy things. And it was unbelievable how good some of these guys were. And Carlos, we all know how good he is now, but even Diego and Marco was a very, very good player up until when he got injured. I think he broke his face against Seattle, but he was very good for us in how we used to play. He would open the defense, make the field big for us. So, man, these guys were next level.
Yeah, especially with Arena, nice, Benny. With Arena, he didn't put up any numbers for you guys, but Jesus, the guy just ran in behind. He forced defenders into some bad situations, which gave Rossi and Vela and Blessing more space underneath. So it necessarily didn't have all the goals and assists you would like to see from a starting center forward, but he wasn't someone that any center backs wanted to defend against.
Yeah, true.
This game is the most Marco Arena game in that he's dominant and doesn't score a goal.
The own goal at the end. Yeah.
The own goal, he mishit that ball too. He mishit that ball because he's trying to chop it back to Carlos. We'll see it in 45 minutes or so, but he's trying to chop it back to him, and he kind of kicks it straight across the face of the goal. And was it Steris that kicked it in?
Yeah. Kick is a questionable term. Benny, at this point, you get that goal, how much does it change the mindset in the group?
Not too much, because it's so early, so you don't change the mindset. And we have been playing well, right? The first 5 minutes was mostly us. We just want to keep it going. And I think, honestly, until the 60th minute, which I hate to harp on, but until then, we kept it. We were playing the right way, whether we were winning, 1-0 or 3-0. We were playing the right way, making it tough for Galaxy to create anything, and still taking our chances going forward.
So you guys, we're gonna have questions coming off YouTube and Facebook that I'm gonna push towards you. So everyone keep throwing them in there. Tom McHugh is the first one here. He said he remembers Mike Grella talking about how he and David Villa used to text after every game they played, except the 7-0 one between Red Bulls and NYCFC. Are there any teammates on the other side you were close with who you talked to in the aftermath of this game?
No, man, I don't remember. It was really brutal, dude. This game was. I don't think I've ever played in a game where you felt like you've completely given away a game that you should have won, and it meant a lot. As much as it's the third game of the season, it meant a lot. We had 6 points in 2 games. This would have made it 9. We're playing against our biggest rival, which it may be 1 game in, but man, it felt like a big rivalry, and so. I remember this game for me is this day for me is the most bipolar day ever, because I woke up, I was so excited, drive to meet the team at the stadium or at the hotel. Then you play in the game the first 60 minutes. You couldn't have written a better script for us. And then from then on, it just becomes the worst day in the world, where we lose the game. I make a mistake. We lose the game. The drive home was like, I lived in Cucamonga at the time. The drive home was 2.5 hours because of the traffic getting out of Carson. It was unbearable. That day turned out to be one of the most bipolar days in my life.
And just getting on the right side of that. Yeah, you kind of know when to not rub it in, and so I think I exchanged a text conversation with Dejan Jakovic after, and it's not something you're going to say, hey, what a game, when they're down on their luck after that. So we just kept it real casual and cordial, and so it wasn't. I had, like Benny said, I went through a number of emotions that day too, because right now I think that's actually the most passes we connected in the game right there, or at least in the first half, because they had the ball the entire time. So you go from that and going into halftime thinking, Jesus, we're getting killed, to then the hype of winning and the excitement of that. And so it was a very strange day, and we just came out on the right side of it.
What was the week like for you guys? Oh, go ahead.
No. I was going to say, didn't you tell me that you, after MLS Cup in LA, where you unfortunately lost, did you go to the LA Galaxy celebration party?
The first year I did. The second one I was on crutches, so definitely not. But yeah, the first year I popped by the, I think it was at, I can't remember. I think it was at like LA Live or something. The funny thing was is if the Galaxy won, they were having it at LA Live, and ours was at the Marriott in Salon D, so very Houston Dynamo. It would have been a post game party, but probably with like some tall boys as opposed to like champagne. But anyways, this one was fun. I actually was here also doing a feature, and so Sebastian Salazar from ESPN was there to do an interview with me afterwards, and this was like leading up to the Mexican national team going to the World Cup. So I'd also interviewed Carlos Vela that week as well too. So it was just, we were working on a bunch of different projects at the same time, but Sebastian didn't show up till halftime of this game. He just, I don't know if he like was stuck in traffic or what he was doing, but he showed up at halftime and he was like unsure if he was going to come or not. And I was like, dude, you should come. I want to do this interview afterwards. And I think we watched the whole second half happen together, and I still give him a little stick for that, just because if it wasn't for me, basically, in doing a movement interview, he would have probably missed one of the best MLS games of all time. So, he owes me one.
Benny, real quick, just to make this worse for you, I guess, Rob Ashpole wants to know, you're saying this is worse than the 2009 game against Brazil at the Confed Cup in the final?
No, because the Brazil game meant more as a final, and it's Confederations Cup. That would have been unbelievable to win. But this was a much more difficult game to blow than that one. That one you're playing against Brazil, one of the best teams in the world. They're a better team than us. We're only up 2-0. This one we're up 3-0. we've proven through the first 60 minutes that we're a better team than the Galaxy, and we obviously, whatever happened. But this was whatever the BPI or ESPN BPI that they put up there. Like the probability must have been 0 at 3-0 for Galaxy to come back and win, and somehow they did it anyways. But yeah,
Chris,
if I had to pick one of the two, I'd say let's beat Brazil in the finals. That would have been pretty cool.
We appreciate that. Chris, you mentioned it off the top, but 3 designated players on your team, none of them dress for this game. Did you guys know that they were going to be out coming into it? And like, what was the vibe in your group of like, oh, we're going into this huge game without all of these guys?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, on that side, it was a bit strange because Jonah, maybe 2 games before this, I think we played NYCFC and Jonah got injured. Alessandrini was first game of the year. And then Gio, I'm not sure I think Gio was one of those games as well. So to have three big players that are like a big part of what you're doing as a squad go down, it definitely hurt. And I think we knew it as a team. But at the same time, you're pretty excited that, I know that I got my opportunity because of, Roman being out, and, Servando or Perry got their opportunity from Jonah being out, Ima from Gio. So I think we were all pretty excited for the opportunity to start and play in this game. But definitely knew that we were missing some pieces there.
I don't know if that's the bigger story, or if that they had 3 DPs out and Ibra somehow was on the bench.
I was going to wait for you to bring that one up. Because that's why it has to be pointed out every time that they had no designated players, because Zlatan Ibrahimovic at the time was not a designated player.
Yeah, that's good business.
Chris, what was it like that week for? Because he only showed up I don't know, did he train with you guys 1 or 2 times, and like,
he showed up.
What was that
the day
whole week
before.
like with him coming?
So I'm not sure. Was this game on a Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah,
This
kicked off noon local time on Saturday, and he flew in Thursday night at 10 p.m.
So we literally met him on Friday, and Friday's practices before a game is so relaxed. You literally do 5v2 and walk through set pieces, maybe do a tiny bit of possession. So there wasn't much to see. Obviously, he's meeting 26 or 27 new guys. So when on the bench right now, he probably knows nobody's name. When he came on the field, he didn't know anyone's other than Ash. I'm guessing Ash was the only one he knew. So that was strange. Even a month into the season, he called Perry Kitchen Kevin, and he thought it was his name. It was, it was very strange for sure to have someone, in that magnitude showing up 3 or 4 games into the year, and then, in the height, in this game especially, that being his first game, the rivalry. So.
What'd he call you, Chris? What was your nickname?
Me. He probably just said, "Hey man," I don't know what he called me.
Nah, he liked you, Chris.
Yeah. He liked me at
He
the
did,
end.
because you could tell. You could tell
along.
sometimes. You could tell sometimes watching there would be certain guys where he'd be like, he'd look them off and be like, I don't know, but like he was always giving you the ball because he knew he would get it back.
I was the second oldest guy on the team with him, not this year, but last year. So maybe there was some seniority there, but I don't know. I can't remember when the first time he actually figured out my name was.
I'm sure Perry Kitchen was very forceful in correcting him, right?
No, you don't do that with Ibra. You don't do that with Ibra. So you just try and stay on his good side, and
Alt Football wants to know, which fans do you guys remember making the most noise?
I remember our fans. Although, obviously, things changed once the scores changed, but for the majority of the game, I could hear our fans a lot. I think we can hear them right now, right?
Yeah. I remember thinking during the game right now, being like, Jesus Christ, LAFC got a decent amount of people into our home stadium. And yeah, they had that one little section, but they definitely had scattered in just throughout the normal fans as well, and were pretty loud. And clearly they were playing better than us right now, so they had a lot more to cheer
It's evened out a little bit, though, to be fair. You guys have evened it out a bit.
Yeah.
It did seem like in the media a lot of the conversation was around like, oh, LAFC, everything was about LAFC. And this new team with, all the ownership group and Will Ferrell and all these different things. And then they had gotten off to an amazing start, too, going up to Seattle and winning. And then this game, the way it went, you're like, oh, man, is this like this is going to be like the only team in town or the new team in town or take over? And then obviously everything shifted. And it's actually, I think it's helped both sides for sure to like build it up and push each other. But yeah, there was a moment where I was like, oh man, like the Galaxy are in big trouble right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was, as an expansion side, LAFC was unbelievable. Not only did they get, the marketing and their hires in terms of getting the coaching staff in place, technical staff, but then going on and choosing the players because, they hit the ground running. And, since then have been, one of the top 3 teams in terms of the most exciting in points per game. And so they did a number of things right. And it just, it all came together for them. And it was planned out. It wasn't something that just like happened because of luck. This was all planned out very well by them. Yeah, you see the quality they have on the field.
Benny, did you have any idea you played under Bob, obviously at the national team level. Then you get traded, but to your home city, so not the worst thing in the world. Did you have an idea like this is what this could look like the first year or 2 years in?
I remember when I got traded, well, not when I got traded, but like almost in preseason and maybe even before preseason, I roomed with Beta. Who I know you guys had on the show yesterday, but I remember thinking, how are we going to do this year? It was so hard to tell. Like I couldn't even tell if Carlos was going to be, how good he was going to be, how effective he would be in the league. So that was something that is so difficult to tell until you start playing games, whether we would be good or not. And I remember thinking, no matter what, however good or bad we are this first year, Bob's going to figure it out in the second year. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, LAFC was the best team in the league last year. As much as they didn't win it, they were the best team, and it wasn't even close. And so, I got that part right. I didn't realize we were going to be that good in the first year. Even watching this game, it's the third game of the year, and we look composed, we look good on the ball, and yeah, there's moments where we, maybe we're not doing exactly the right thing right, but that's what you'd expect from a team that's been together for one preseason and 2 games in. And so it's pretty impressive to see how quickly we kind of came together and started playing some pretty good soccer.
Chris, JG131 wants to skip a little here and says, what was the atmosphere like post-game in the locker room?
Ooh. Almost like disbelief a little bit. It's one of those things where you come in and normally after MLS wins, someone will take over the stereo and get some music on. But I remember sitting in our lockers, and I can't remember if Ziggy spoke after the game, but I just remember looking around saying, what the hell just happened? And it was kind of like that. It wasn't like a normal win because we couldn't believe it still. And I even said that to my, when I got in the car later on to my wife, I was like, I don't believe like what happened. And it was definitely a different feel than your normal win, for sure.
Did she tell
you guys not water the grass, Chris?
So dry.
Why did you guys not water the grass? Is that like a difficult thing? Like, come on, man.
Benny, I don't make those calls. But even when you'll see when Ibra comes in the second half, he breaks out. Maybe it's like his first time he touches the ball. He breaks out and the ball's bouncing up and hitting him in the shin. He's coming from Manchester where it rains every day. He's probably thinking, what the hell's going on here? So.
Yeah, usually it's like slick when we play there, but I guess more often than not I've played at nighttime. It was
Yeah.
very dry that day. I remember that. Like some of the passes would get stuck a little bit if you didn't, really get enough power on it.
Ema.
He had a good game, Chris.
Yeah, he did. He did. He's tough to defend against. He's so quick. His first 5 steps are rapid. So if he turns the corner on you, good luck catching up to him. So.
Good thing Tyler's
Benny, were you guys
6'4".
worried about the crosses at all?
Dude, so Tyler, I'll say this about Tyler. That was his biggest weakness, and it's one of his greatest strengths now. I think he's improved so much. Like those aerial balls, like he inconceivably, as tall as he is and as good as he should be in the air, which he is now, he dropped a few balls this year. And so I think, especially when Ibra gets into the game, then you have that kind of, height in there. Then that for sure became one of the things that we talked about. But we didn't talk about it too much because we knew that he would probably not start. So we didn't get into it too much. But that was one of the things that I think, we needed to be wary of.
Well, Chris left us again. Calen decided to drop out. So Bob Bradley, we get to hear him for a second. Benny, what is it like playing for him, whether during the game or at training? Is he like that on you all the time?
In training, that's what he is. Exactly what he is. What he just was there. I remember the story that I love to tell is how in preseason when we were at UCLA for 2 months, he would stop training. It felt like every 30 seconds to tell somebody, this is not the right position. You're not in the right spot. You got to be on the half turn. You got to take it on your left foot so you can pass it then with your right foot and be facing where you want to go. And like he would stop the play all the time, and it felt like we had no rhythm in training. And then the funny thing is, you watch this and you legitimately see how many players are always in the right spots, receiving the ball with the right foot, making sure they're turning to the right. I mean, right there, Mark Anthony Kaye is like able to take it on his left so that he can open up the field. And Perry does a pretty good job, so he makes him play back into pressure. But those things he would harp on time and time again, and force you to start thinking that way. And you can see it. It's helped, and I think one of LAFC's greatest strengths nowadays are the 3 in the middle that are able to get the ball in pockets with a little bit of pressure and still find the right pass, and it makes it very tough to defend that. If you try to close in too much, then you got the spaces on the outside for Carlos and Diego. If you don't, then those guys can find pockets in between and find the ball right through the center of the field. And so that was one of his biggest assets as a coach, is to get those 3 guys to play that way. And it was tedious at first, but man, it definitely helped.
Benny, how have you seen, as a center midfielder and having played with these guys, Latif in Kansas City too, right?
Yeah.
How have you seen his game change, as well as Mark Anthony Kaye under Bob?
Dude, Mark, so I can't speak too much for Latif because when he first moved to the middle of the field, I wasn't there anymore, and obviously I see what he's become, but I can't, tell you, what exactly, changed about him. He started playing in the center midfield, and that seemed just like the right position for him. But Mark is the best example, I think. When he came, I remember, so it was me and Calen were the only 2 center midfielders on the team when I got traded. And I was thinking, who the hell is going to come? And I'm thinking, here's a goal, though.
Jesus.
Bingham was trying to literally do what Taylor Twellman says all the time and stand on his head.
Shout out to John Strong for holding that Vela until he decided to put it in. He almost ran out of breath.
Yeah, this guy Carlos can turn in a phone booth, right? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah,
This
never
guy's
rushed.
got a ridiculous amount of skill. No, but I was saying about Mark is just, he came in and he was one of the, I think maybe the 3rd signing of central midfield, and he was supposed to be like an outside back, outside winger kind of player. Sorry, got to watch this again.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's silly.
So good. And Urania.
But like you said about Marco, dude, like what Urania was doing. Look at that space. How are you going to leave Carlos wide open inside the box? Because Marco's running wild.
And then how do 3 guys end up on the end line?
And still not save it.
that's how you have to defend Vela.
Because they had some time to wait. They had some time to get back.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back on Mark, man, I think he was the third signing, and I'm thinking, this guy isn't a center midfielder, you know? Like, you can tell from the first day of training, he's got these long legs, he's lanky, he doesn't take, like, the cleanest touches. Fair enough, UCLA's field at the time was like a concrete jungle, but it was a parking lot. But anyways, you could tell he wasn't, as comfortable being in there, and he was more comfortable in more space, open spaces out wide. But man, Bob just would stop, like I said, would stop trainings all the time, tell him you got to put your body in the right position, you got to take it on the right foot, be in the right position. And now he's one of the best center midfielders in the league. And so he had it in him, and Bob obviously saw something in him that I didn't see, and now he is what he is now. He's just, it's crazy how much he improved from the time that he got there in preseason to what he is now.
He's awesome to watch too.
I think Zaki Abdel, the goalkeeper coach, had been there. Saw him with the Canadian national team, I think, because he had worked with them a little bit, and then was like, I think even there was a story on MLSsoccer.com about Mark Anthony Kaye and the way he kind of took off after leaving Toronto, and he got the second opportunity basically back in MLS.
I think Bob said he saw him at the Gold Cup when he was with Louisville. That was the first time he broke through in his mind and was I need this guy.
At the Gold Cup, or?
Yeah.
So when he was with Canada. Oh, when
he was with Canada playing at Louisville.
Yeah,
he played on the wing. Alphonso Davies won the Golden Boot, and I think Kay had 2 or 3 assists on the wing in that Gold Cup. Chris, Taylor has a question for you from Facebook. He says, when you're in this situation, you have so little possession, do you feel that? Does it wear on you mentally?
Oh, yeah. And if you watch, I've been watching just LAFC's pressure against us too. They'll lose the ball in the attacking third, and there's pretty much immediate pressure. So then for us to get out of that, we have to be very clean in possession. And at this time, we're tired because we've been defending. So odds of us being clean and trying to get out in possession aren't likely. They're, like I said, for a team that's in their third or fourth game of the year, them understanding each other and how they want to pressure and come out was spectacular. And it made it so hard against us. And, right now we're spread out. We haven't had a whole lot of the ball, so we're not very confident. And we're making mistakes. Whereas LAFC, they've seen a lot of the ball. They're confident. They're kind of more of a unit right now, and it felt like that the entire first half, and even in parts of the second half as well. Just because they do pressure you well as a team, and when they turn over the ball, their first instincts are to go get the ball back and hunt it, whereas some other teams might fall back. They were trying to put you under pressure, so even if they do lose the ball, they're winning it in our half of the field and only have to go 40 or 50 yards, whereas we have to go 70, 80 yards to get to their goal.
Chris, had Sebastian played as a 10 at all in preseason that year? Had you guys tried that before?
I think we were playing Gio as the 10 in preseason. Sebi's he can play a number of different positions. I think his best position for me is an 8. He's very comfortable on the ball. He's so tidy. He's good with both feet. He can also play as a winger, but he's not like a winger that really wants to be with his heels on the touchline. He's kind of one of those guys that would do well in a diamond midfield because he is so good in the middle of the field and getting touches on the ball. Sebi, he can play a 10, but for me, to get him in his best position, I think, a number 8 is where I would like to see him. But once again, we were limited. We were limited on numbers here.
Yeah, you got 2 D mids who are panicked about Carlos Vela sitting in that hole, and then you put Sebastian behind him. Here's a chance.
I should have got an assist there.
Jeez, it's a pretty good ball.
Didn't even remember that.
It could honestly be 4-0 right now.
Did you feel? Sorry, Benny. Go.
I was just gonna say, because what Chris was saying about, so goals obviously change games, but in terms of like for players, possession, if you're losing and you don't have the ball, it's the absolute like killer in terms of mindset, and it just kills your confidence and your will to try and get back into the game. And I remember I watched a little tiny clip of this when it was on FS1 last night, and we were just passing the ball left and right. It was 3-0 in the 58th, 59th minute, and we'll see it when it comes in. But you, as a person watching the game, it is impossible to fathom that even in 30 seconds that Galaxy would get a goal back. And it's crazy. It's just crazy to think this game was, I don't know, everything that could have happened wrong for us and right for the Galaxy happened, after that minute.
Benny, Jeff Anderson on YouTube wants to know, Bob versus Peter, who's more intense?
Peter's more intense. Bob's, so they're both very focused on getting what they want. And I compare Bob as a club coach, right? With the national team, I didn't get to, it's different. You don't get to really see the real person, the real coach. It's a completely different mindset. So I compare the two in the club level. And Bob has, I guess I say more of a personable approach where he really wants to get to each player to improve, and then it'll improve his team, where Peter's like number one mindset is team above any player. The individual success will come from the team success. And I think because of that, he has a little bit of a different relationships with players. Now, having said that, I have great relationships with both, so it's hard for me to kind of answer one or the other. But I think for most people, I think that they would feel like Peter's probably a more intense dude than Bob. Bob hates that. Bob doesn't like to be considered an intense guy. He's I think he knows that he's very serious about the sport, and if you call it soccer, he'll kill you. But he's very serious about football, and he wants his team to understand his ideas. But he considers himself a personable person that wants to be involved, and a family person, and all that kind of stuff. And so he hates I think people calling him intense or super serious or anything like that.
Did you help him pick the bomber jacket that he goes with now?
No, he loves that, though. My wife thinks he's great dressed. He always loved his bomber jacket and his short sleeve. I think it was usually black or gray. And he always stands on the sideline like this. And typical Bob, dude.
I mean, someone needs to bring the style for the team, right?
That's right.
And I think Chris might rejoin us at some point.
Is Chris getting paid part-time for this work, or what's going on?
Chris figured if his team wasn't trying to play on the field, why should he watch for those segments of the game? So while you guys dominate possession, he just drops out.
Lexi and Rob talked about it. They've been here for a couple hours.
Wait.
Up in great numbers.
Bingham.
They've been rewarded by the performance from their team.
Another Berkeley guy.
One of the other great traditions in MLS rivalries. The last
Bingham went to Berkeley?
Yeah.
He's a Bay Area.
Wow.
Gotta do it.
I will say that is surprising.
Calen, you and me
We'll
watched.
save the story of Benny. We'll save the story of Benny and his recruiting trip to Berkeley for another day. You reminded me recently of driving into the airport.
Time now.
Benny, you want to tell it?
I would hardly call it. I was begging to come to Berkeley. I was begging Kevin Grimes to bring me there, and he's like, "Nah, you're just not good enough."
Guys, are we in the second half yet? I'm just tuning back in.
Then we just
Chris.
proceeded to lose to UCLA every game since.
Calen, you know my first college game was against you.
Oh yeah, was that at Santa Barbara?
Yeah, you guys killed us 2-0.
I remember that. Andy Iro got a red card.
Andy
Against
Iro.
you, right?
That is
Yeah,
great.
Yeah.
Andy Iro, dude. This guy was a monster.
Talk
in
about
college.
atmosphere. Santa Barbara was an awesome place to play.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, and they're hosting the College Cup there this year again. So
Oh, nice.
maybe I'll see you guys out there.
You bet.
Benny, how you doing right now?
Pontius, how did you?
What happened? I don't even see what happened.
here.
Benny, I fouled you on this one.
Did you like kind of kick me on the rib or something, or the side?
Yeah.
I remember this.
It wasn't a cheap shot, but
No.
I was definitely late. I forget if I hit you with an elbow or something, but
I do remember like it was like on my hip bone or something.
yeah.
I think my my little like fat pouch there helped though.
I was just going to
Chris,
say
you're just
you're
trying to
making
change
this
the
one,
flow
man.
of the game, right? Just
Well,
mix it up in the middle.
I was trying to get some oxygen at this point because couldn't.
I'm
breathe.
trying to tell Carlos what to do there.
It's a question a lot of people on the field, but
You're like, just keep doing it.
time away. Also, Benny Feilhaber is a more experienced. He's a more. He's had
That
more
means
experiences
Stewie's
himself.
calling me
He's
old.
grown up. He said Bob has cared less about some of the little things and the way that he's.
Stewie's
gone about
calling you.
building this group.
Benny, you were the veteran, right, in this group?
He's felt a
I think I was the oldest dude on the team,
bond
or
with Bob Bradley. Bob is entrusted him to instill
or was it
little
Laurent?
things.
I'm older than Laurent, I think. I think I was the oldest dude on the team.
Enjoying it.
Laurent also
Well, I-
leaves pretty quickly.
That's true.
I saw you talking before the match, but like after the match, who's the person in the locker room that says like, tries to get the group together? Obviously, Bob is gonna maybe have a word, or I don't know if he waited till
In terms of motivationally,
or just
or-
you're in a bad moment, you lose a terrible game, or you lose one that you should win. Who's the guy
There were a
that
couple
kinda
guys.
grabs people?
there were a couple guys. I mean, Harvey was the oldest guy on the team. That's who it was.
Yeah.
And still is. But I would say Harvey was one of them. Me and Beta. I mean, Carlos would, but he's more of a. I mean, Carlos is a great leader. Great. He's the best DP I've ever played with in this league. He's perfect for what a DP is supposed to be. One, he produces on the field, and two, he's got no ego, so he lets everybody be who they want to be. And he was great, and so he's a great leader. But he's less of like a vocal guy that's going to go out of his way to like, hey, is this guy doing okay? Let's make sure he's all right. So it was more of the guys that had kind of been within MLS most. So myself, Walker, even though he's younger, he was a guy that still did that. Yeah, Beta and Harvey, I think those are the main guys.
Benny, it feels like maybe you're having trouble remembering right now. There's a guy named Claudio Bieler who played as a DP in MLS. I think
Yeah,
that's who you
again,
meant to
Carlos,
say.
best DP I've ever played with. Claudio, dude, that's a good name. I mean, he got a goal on one of my best assists ever, so I have to thank him for that.
Calen, your man Dom Kinnear getting a little screen time.
Still strange for me to see him. I went to the Galaxy opener against the Dynamo in Houston this year, and it's just still so strange for me to see Dom in a Galaxy kit. But I said to him, I said, did you've managed a lot of big stars now, especially strikers, Chicharito, Zlatan, Calen Carr. I still can't believe Dom as assistant. He's so much more relaxed now because he's more along the lines of like, and you look at the that list you mentioned as far as Peter Vermes and Bob, like somebody that runs everything. But I know he's. What was it like for you playing with Dom, Chris?
Oof, I love the guy.
He's the man, huh?
Awesome person. And what I will say is, obviously when I came into the league, he was a head coach and, was regarded and, rightfully so as one of the top in the league. But he's done a great job of being respectful of, at that time, Ziggy, and now in Guillermo, of those guys. So, obviously I'm sure he has his own opinions about things, but he's very respectful and kind of will go about it the way that those guys want to go about it. So, but he is an awesome guy. I love playing underneath him, and I have nothing but good things to say about Dom.
Yeah, he's the man. He had he at the end of the season, he took over, and you guys obviously should have made the playoffs. Lose on the last day to the Dynamo. Sorry about that. But what was like? I guess this season overall. I guess it was just kind of like this game, a little bit of a wild ride.
Jeez, yeah, we were. we could. I mean, this season it was like who could get to 3 first in every game. We were giving up so many goals, but we scored so many goals. So there were a number of games where we were just we'd go up 2-0 and then a team would crawl back into it. It just, you never felt like you were safe, so we kept having to attack. We were just very inconsistent. Some games we would show up, some games we wouldn't, and it was a strange season. We went through a rough patch, and I think right after this game, I don't think we won for maybe 4 or 5 games after it. And that was a pretty rough patch. So we put ourselves behind the 8 ball a little bit, and then once Dom took over at the end, I think he simplified things a little bit more, and we had a good run against him. Just like I said, inconsistent, gave up untimely goals, and that bit us in the butt in that last game of the year there.
That was one of the weirdest moments, Chris, in recent MLS history of just. We had all calculated that you guys were in, and the way it happened, like, what do you remember about that?
I was in the stands. I just had hernia surgery, so I was hoping and praying that we would make the playoffs, because I would have been back for, I think, the second round. But just watching the game, we go up, and I'm thinking, okay, we'll be able to shut this down in our biggest game of the year. We'll be able to lock it down in defense. And then Houston just came back. And then even at the end of the game, we still had some looks to tie it and to go ahead. And it was just that was another strange game, and thinking like your emotions are just thrown for a loop, because I thought we had it, and clearly it wasn't the case.
Houston Zlatan, you guys?
Houston Zlatan does. Yeah. It's just like one of those things where you're just like, you don't believe that it's actually going on. So,
right.
Yeah.
We had a crazy last game, too, because I remember we played Kansas City. Whoever won the game was first in the conference. And I came off that game, and I was like asking people what the scores were. And I remember you guys were winning 2-0. And
at halftime.
I mean, I remember going through all the scores and trying to figure out what it was, and then obviously at the end of it all, it was us against you guys. Or was that? Wait, no, sorry, it wasn't. It would have been us against you guys had you guys gotten through, right? Yeah, that's what it was.
And you guys ended up in Salt Lake, and then
they kept RSL in for you.
I know, but had they won, it would have been us against Galaxy. And I was like, MLS is gonna love this and everything, and then it somehow didn't happen. And then it was Salt Lake, who somehow beat us 3-2 by shooting 2 balls on target that game.
And RSL didn't play that.
Krylak had a decent goal that game.
Krylak had 2 nasty goals that game. One was ridiculous, and then, we got Krylak, and then I think Walker accidentally scored an own goal.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
So Benny, we've got a question from a fan here. And they said, what was Bob's message at halftime? What did he want to change? And it's hard to imagine, so can you please do it in a Bob Bradley voice?
Well, first I could tell you, look, I can't remember everything. No chance I can remember what Bob said, but he would have said something to the effect of, let's play the way we're doing, and let's try and finish some more chances. Because, like Chris said, we probably could have had, 4, maybe more.
Yeah.
I mean, Diego just had a breakaway a couple minutes ago that he wasn't able to, get out of his feet, or else he's in on goal. So we could have had a few more, and I'm sure he told us, let's keep playing the way we're playing and try and get a couple more, and this game could be over. And I'm not going to do his voice, man.
Come on, Benny. We got time.
I'm not like that. It takes like a while before you have to practice it a couple times. And look, guys, go out there, and I can't do it. You gotta get the best one. The best one with the Bob Bradley voice would be Sasha Kleshin. He's the one you need to get on the show.
Sash, yeah.
Sash can do him. He can do Preki. He can do it all.
He has some good impersonations.
Benny, don't sell us on other people right now.
Yeah, but he'll come on the show. He'll make me look good. I'll be his headhunter or whatever it's called.
Talent agent.
Yeah,
I think we'll call you that. Chris, you missed that header just a moment ago. Do you remember that chance going into halftime?
Taking his time.
Yes and no. Now seeing it, I do, but I didn't remember that I had a header in the first half prior to watching this again. But like I said, our chances compared to their chances, it's night and day. Like, that's kind of a half chance. They had some real chances to put this game away. And I mean, technically they did put it away at 3-0, right? But we just, we were not good in the first half at all. I remember coming out and thinking in the beginning of the second half, I think we had a couple better looks, and just the run of play was a tiny bit better. But we weren't dangerous. We weren't good, to be honest.
We'll get to your header.
Yeah, Chris, I think you made up for it.
I'm gonna tune out of here until that moment. Or actually, yeah. No, but and I will say this about LAFC, and they continue, to this day to do it, and people criticize them for it, but it doesn't matter if they're up 3-0 or down 1-0. They play an attractive style. They go after you. They force you into some real uncomfortable positions, and has it bitten them in the butt a couple times? Sure, but more times than not, it's worked out for them. And it's kind of as a fan now, being retired, it's what you want to see and what you tune in to games to watch. You want to see a team that's going after people, and they certainly do that.
Everybody back to defend for LAFC. Just about everyone forward for the Galaxy. Legit, the outswinger. Miller didn't get there. Kitchen off the chest to the traffic. Took a deflection off.
So another few chances to close out the half. Chris, what do you remember about the halftime experience here?
2 goals, the difference right now in the first ever meeting.
Not a whole lot. I remember some people saying, this is like a pride thing, which at that point it is. We're at home. And we should be playing better. So, you're talking about chipping away 1 goal at a time, kind of like the normal things to say. I don't think we made any huge adjustments at halftime. So, just trying to kind of get some guys to get in there and believe a little bit. And, hopefully, 2-0 is not a terrible, lead to come back from. So, yeah, at that point, if we get 1 goal, then we're right back in things. So we were just kind of talking about that.
Calen, do you remember being there, what your thought was, what the reaction was in the crowd around people?
Well, Sebastian Salazar is about to show up finally, but yeah, no, I remember just walking. I remember just walking around at halftime, and I saw Susanna, and I remember she said something to me about the Vela goal. And then I saw Brandon Beck, who's one of the owners of LAFC, and everybody was just in a really good mood. The LAFC supporter section is, still jumping, partying. So I think at that point you're like, I think I remember saying to Brandon, like dream start for you guys, in the first El Tráfico, you're kind of running away with it. And then I think an early goal to start the second half. Is that right? The own goal?
Yep.
So it's just kind of like what it was kind of, I think that's partly why it seemed to hurt so bad, was that it was like so much hype, and then absolute dream start after, then it gets even better and then better. And, next thing you know, the Olays are coming, and then all of a sudden
I still think that's one of the things that killed us.
The
Olays killed us. I remember hearing that on the field, and it just seemed like our team kind of thought, like even the ball that Laurent plays to me could have been a ball that he kind of hits further up the field. And I just think the Olays kind of got to us where we're like, dude, let's just keep passing the ball and olaying and olaying.
It's hard when you're feeling it.
I think the Galaxy players also thought, what the hell? Like, no chance they're going to olay in our own field. And even if we're not going to score goals, we're not going to let them do that. And they start pushing up. And, obviously things turn. But I remember I was thinking, dang, 60th minute olaying? Let's wait until like the 85th minute or something.
Let's take a look at the first half highlights. But first, we just wanted to mention Major League Soccer launching on Monday, #MLS Unites. Every team, the players, the coaches, staffs, everyone working together to try and help make this COVID-19 pandemic just a little bit easier for the fans and for the people in this country and Canada and around the world. So each club is rolling out a different initiative. Plenty of players are putting together different videos, helping medical staff. And for these two clubs, specifically LAFC and the LA Galaxy, both of them have helped raise and donate money for food shelters in the LA area. The LA Galaxy, of course, their stadium sponsored by Dignity Health, and they're helping set up free virtual urgent care visits through Dignity Health, as well as Instagram Live concerts for fans, and LAFC working with Body Armor, one of their sponsors as well, to help get food and different things to Kaiser Permanente's hospitals as well. So a lot of great work being done across the league for players, for coaches. You can actually, some of the clubs are putting together workouts from their trainers as well as diet advice from their dietitian, so we can all get that Chris Pontius, Benny Feilhaber body going while we're in quarantine by ourselves and emerge.
Not mine.
As brand
I got
new.
chocolate chip cookies and ice cream body. That's what I got.
Well, let's take a look at the highlights, Benny. A better time,
Wait,
a better day, right?
David, can I just add one thing to that since you
Yeah.
were saying all that stuff? We have BSI the podcast starting a GoFundMe page as well. So if anybody wants to pop into our GoFundMe page and donate some money for doctors, we have it all written out there, educational purposes as well. So that's another thing that we're trying to do.
That's awesome.
Awesome. That's good to hear. And of course, if anyone needs something fun to do while they're stuck inside and maybe pretend they're not there, you can listen to BSI the podcast anywhere you get your podcast. I was cracking up the other day. My girlfriend gave me a stone cold look, and I was like, "Oh, Alan Gordon's being really funny."
We got a
Let's
good
take
one
a look
coming
at
up this week, by the way.
Let's take a look at the highlights, though.
Yep.
We talked about it a little bit, but Benny, Beta gets high, counter presses, wins this ball back for Vela. Was this the idea the whole time, to just jump on them out the opening gate?
Not really. I mean, it was a derby game, so derby. I don't know. I played in derby, so I have those two different ways of saying it. But I think we just had a lot of excitement and energy, and we had a lot of confidence coming in from the Salt Lake game. But yeah, we definitely pressed more in this game, like Chris alluded to, than we had in the first couple games. And Marco Arena was huge for us because he opened up the field, and so both plays start with Marco, both goals.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, this goal reminds me of the Gio Dos Santos goal against us in 2011.
Oof.
When he puts Tim on the ground.
I wasn't there. I got hurt before that.
What a chip that was.
I wasn't there either, Benny, but there's TVs and stuff.
But I'd like to say that I wasn't actually there.
Okay, fair. That's fair for you. Let's get ready for the second half here, though. For these two
teams,
are the
only
no
highlights
changes.
we had. Those are the only highlights.
What did you want an all touches highlight of you? Just in your own half, knocking it around?
There's about 6 other chances you guys had, too. You throw
Why didn't we put Chris's headers?
Because it went 10 rows up in the stands.
Yeah, we'll
yes, those are from Fox. So you got to go talk to them. You can't blame us.
Okay. Have a word.
I think maybe they didn't want Chris Pontius to have to remember the first half, so they just kept him out of it.
So nice of him.
I want to see how quickly this thing turns. It's crazy.
I'm telling you, I remember. So yesterday I didn't watch up in. I think I turned it on in the 60th minute. So, but I remember us being a little bit better in the first 15 minutes and thinking, okay, we might be able to turn this around. And then the own goal happened, and it was
the own goal was in 5 minutes in. It wasn't 15. It was 5.
Yeah, it's quick.
Because I have this shot here. I remember that, and I was like, all right,
that was a good hit.
We're feeling a little bit better.
So 15 seconds, not 15 minutes.
15
Yeah,
seconds, 15, it doesn't matter.
Chris,
Because I'm pretty sure the third goal is what? Before the 50th minute? 48th?
48th minute.
Oh, Jesus. Was it that fast?
Yeah. But
Yeah,
you...
so
for 3 minutes, I thought we played well.
But then off of that, you also had looks, Chris. You had a few more shots after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second half was, even before the turnaround, was more even. The first half, for sure, could have been worse, but still. It's
By the
one
way,
of
there's
those
Katie
where,
with him saying that Bob was still disappointed with the first half performance.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said we were okay at times, but we had parts that we need to improve.
future ideas of how he wants
Look at we have a
That's
huge
because-
gap in midfield right there.
Yeah, dude. There's like
Ooh.
exactly where you. The only way is to play it long.
Well, yeah, that's just because none of us were comfortable on the ball at that point. We weren't confident, so
Right.
it's kind of like people were hiding a little bit, and that's all of us.
Felcher far away. 2 minutes into the end of the first half, he gets beat on a 1-2, and then the Galaxy.
This is Kevin on the ball, right, Chris?
That's Kevin there. There's Kevin. I'll never forget that. That was so funny.
Being a perfectionist, always looking to improve his team, and
To be fair, that's a pretty good dangerous ball for you guys if you guys just played over the top before trying to press.
Yeah.
Rolf Felcher does a lot of flying forward over the next 40 minutes, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the goal.
crossing. Look at Arena again
There it is, yeah.
on a run in behind.
Later, Felcher.
Yeah.
Or no, that's Skelvik, isn't it?
Yeah.
He completely mishits that though. He tries to cross it backwards to Carlos, but
Devastating.
Do you
that's
think
the
if
thing,
that goes through?
That's what. No, I don't. Maybe because the grass was a little dry, I don't think it would have gone all the way through. And maybe Carlos gets to it, but that's like what Chris was saying. Everything was going right. Even as much as we were outplaying you guys, like everything was going right. Like that could have easily not been a goal, but it goes off the post, off an own goal. Like, watch this. I don't know. Maybe Carlos gets to the end of this. Yeah, I think Carlos probably gets there.
Probably gets there. It holds up on that dry grass.
Yeah. But, like, he definitely mishit it. He was trying to cut it backwards.
Good finish there.
Unbelievable.
Rania does well there. Just that little bump.
Yep. Putting his body in front.
He does
Yeah, dude,
so
that's what he was
well
so
with
good at.
He'll check in and make you think that
Yeah.
he wants the ball in midfield, and then he'll take off in behind. And
He was
he was
rapid,
so
Chris.
good. Yeah, he was fast.
rapid, and you don't realize it
doesn't
because
look like
he's kind of balding, and he's rapid, bro. He is so fast. Yeah, David.
David-
Don't offend my people, Benny.
He might be fast.
Deceptively fast, David Goss. Yes.
Like Marco also.
That's what my
looks older.
profile says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Benny, at this point, 3-0, do you think Zlatan's going to come on?
I actually didn't think he might not come on. I remember thinking that. I was like, dude, at 3-0, are they going to bring Zlatan on? Like, he's going to come in just to get his debut on a game that there's no chance that they're going to win. But then once you guys got the 3-1, I was like, damn it, this guy's coming in now.
Did you guys care about the whole lead up with him? Like on LAFC?
Well, if you ask me personally, I thought that it would be a difficult situation to be the first team to play against him. Because you don't know exactly how he's going to settle into MLS, what he's going to be, how he's going to be looking to play. So it'd be great to like see him play a couple of games before you know how you want to defend him. And I didn't want him to have to come in and then us have to deal with him right off the bat. But that's why I was thinking maybe at 3-0 he doesn't even come in.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were going to risk him because they saw Chris Klein said, it'd almost be crazy to play him because he'd just gotten off a flight. And then you have to remember also he had the cruciate injury at United. So he hadn't been playing football and obviously didn't have a preseason. I don't know what kind of training he was doing to be fit and healthy, but you wondered if you would risk him and then for how long would you give him to be out there. But
Yeah,
man.
it's not like a young guy coming off an injury too. You're talking about like a 35, 36-year-old coming off.
At that
off
point,
an
he'd
injury.
played 100 minutes in the last 15 months.
Dude, look
And
at
he
Ashley
started
Cole trying to
one
defend
game.
Latif. That's not fair.
Latif
And I think-
is so good.
He's just
Zlatan,
so quick.
Zlatan started in December for Man U, came off at halftime because he couldn't play, and hadn't played
Right.
since then. And
But there was so much hype, and everybody wanted to see him, and half of I'm sure global audience, everyone wants to see the debut, and so I was almost nervous at this point, being like, man, after all this hype, and we've gone to Manchester to do the interview, and this is on Fox, and this would be sort of a shame. Also, you're thinking it's probably over, so it's kind of a shame, kind of anticlimactic.
Right.
It was far from that.
Oh,
That's not good.
Chris, did you know that he was going to play a chunk?
I mean, I wasn't calling the subs, but I figured he would. Just kind of knowing the guy that Ibra was. he's a showman, and he loves putting on a show for the people. So I think Ziggy would have been in big trouble if he didn't play Ibra in this game.
By Ibra.
I could have even seen like Ibra going up to him though at 3-0 and be like, "Nah, don't bring me in. This is just dumb. Like I'm gonna come in, I'm not gonna touch the ball." I could have seen that. Like I'm not saying that. I don't know him personally, but could have been like
Chris. What do you think, Chris?
An annoying debut.
I still think if Ibra's on the bench, like he would want to be. I mean, we would even, this past year, that first year, he would be injured and then come back from an injury, and it wasn't like, with some guys you start him on the bench and give him 20 minutes at the end of the game, and that just wasn't the case with Ibra. If he was playing, he was starting. So I think this is the only game he came on as a sub for Galaxy. I could be wrong, but he was just that guy, and he wasn't. We put up all those stats of how many meters ran after a game, and he was never leading the group. I'll tell you that much. But he was effective. So
it's easy when you can shoot from 40.
Yeah, and when you're 6'5" and good with both feet and a smart player, yeah.
So Ibra subbed on the next game against SKC, and then he only subbed on one more time in his 2 years with the Galaxy. Otherwise, you're right. He started every game. Apparently, Will Trapp said on the call-up yesterday, Chris, that he also smelt really good. Is that true?
Ibra?
Yeah.
He had his own cologne, so I would hope so.
He made his own cologne?
Yeah, he had his own
line
cologne, or his line. He had the underwear too, right? That Z brand. I'm not sure what the brand is called, but
you mean you're not wearing it right now?
I think he has the funds. Go ahead.
I was expecting him to have an entourage when he showed up to the player announcement shoot, and it was complete. The guy showed up by himself in a Volvo, just pulled up, and he was totally nice to everybody. He was really excited about the live lion, and knew insane amount of information about the lion. He was talking about his age and how you could tell by the size of his paws by his age, and I don't know. He was an expert. I don't know if you've seen what's that new show on Netflix right now?
Tiger King.
Tiger King.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen that one, but he should make a cameo on that. But basically, yeah, it was crazy. But I was so surprised. He said as much time as you need, super professional, and but showed up by himself. He had no entourage. I was pretty shocked.
Chris, you guys are outplaying us here.
For 5 minutes?
I mean, yeah, more than you guys did in the first half, but it's
Look, we're actually pressing you guys.
That's what I'm saying. We're not being able to get out, and you guys are getting some good pressure in our box.
Benny, were you worried at all about your role on this team?
What do you mean my role?
Felt like most of SKC, you had another guy who was more defensive-minded in central midfield alongside you?
So when I first got there, I didn't know what my role was even going to be. I thought maybe I'd be the 10, because Carlos has always played as a right winger. So I thought maybe I'd be the 10, and the way we started out, we played Carlos as the 10, and then me and Mark Anthony Kay as kind of pseudo sixes and eights, kind of one next to each other. So me and Mark kind of shared that responsibility at first, but I was very comfortable with that. I mean, that's how I first started with Bob on the national team. I played, next to another guy as a kind of central midfielder, whether it was Michael or Pablo Mastroeni sometimes, Ricardo Clark, those guys. That's kind of how I played, so I felt pretty comfortable in that role. Although I would have loved to play as a 10, but I was getting too old for that, and I needed to play more as the sit deep and provide cover for the better players.
Benny, I will say that I absolutely hated going and playing against Kansas City when you guys were there. It was, you knew you were just in for a long game.
Just pressure all over the field.
Pressure. I mean, similar to LAFC, right? Pressure all over the field. A team that just spreads you out and their outside backs. For me as a winger, their outside back was playing like a winger at times, and forcing me to defend. And I was like, this is just going to be a long night. Like, I hated it.
Especially when you play in Kansas City. And then it's just next level.
So,
Calen has good
dude,
memories.
look at
in
this
Kansas
right
City.
now, though. We should be able to make it more. What are we doing? That's a good tackle. Although, that's a foul because you bumped him first, but I'll give it to you.
no chance. No chance.
You bumped him on the upper body first and then snuck your leg around him. Things that referees don't see, but I give it to you.
Benny, you're not bitter at all about this, are you?
Not anymore. I mean, I'm bitter about the single fact that we lost this game, but I don't think in the grand scheme of things, I can pretty factually say that these two teams are almost complete opposites of one another. You know, like I would say that during the 2 years that Zlatan was there, it was like dysfunctional functional for Galaxy, whereas for LAFC, I mean, they've been, like what Chris said, been built from the first day as a really good club, good organization. So, I mean, you know, LA's the most successful team in all of MLS, but I think in those last 2 years a little bit like dysfunctional functional, where it would be the first team to 3 and Ibra would score his goals, but also, you know, be yelling at everybody, and so it's a little bit crazy, but it's disappointing to lose the game, but I think that, you know, both teams have gone on as they should have.
But you guys were so much the better team throughout most of these games, but just couldn't seem to find a way through. What do you think was like
the Ibra effect? I genuinely think it had to do with Zlatan and the fact that we ended up losing this game after having played, you know, a game that we should have won, and then similar things kept happening. You know, with the game that we tied 2-2 at home, we were up 2-0 at home. Should never lose that game. Give up a kind of a soft goal and then make a massive mistake to give up a second goal. The game that we tied in Carson later in the year was a pretty even game. I think that was fair for a 1-1 result. And then even last year, you know, like what Zlatan did last year in that game in Carson where he got the hat trick, that was crazy. You know, like how well he played. Galaxy looked like Galaxy outplayed them. You know, and so it's crazy. They've just been a better team in the rivalry, although I think LAFC is a better team. I don't think that's something that's would be disputed by too many people outside of Carson.
No, I don't think anyone can argue that after, you know, the 2 seasons that LAFC has put together. You know, like I said earlier, we were just so inconsistent. You just kind of didn't know what you were going to get on the day, and were we going to turn up? And, you know, we managed to turn up for, you know, probably 30 minutes of this game, maybe 20 minutes of the game at LAFC in that first year. And then, like you said, the 1-1 game, that was back and forth. That was even. There were chances on both sides. And
by the way, Chris, this is the moment right here that I was talking to you about. Look
Benny,
how
if your
easy.
internet's going to drop at any point.
Look how easy it looks right now. It looks like, and the Olays, I think, start.
Yeah. By the way, I remember.
And look how much
hearing
space.
You guys have so much space. I remember hearing these Olays, right? And we're trying to press you, but we're tired. And we're down 3-0 because, like, we've put a little bit into the beginning of the second half here. And so we just, like, can't, like, even get out to you guys. So it's, like, devastating to hear these Olays, but you're so tired that you're trying to, like,
Here it
get
comes,
out.
by the way.
Yeah. A bouncing ball into you, so you can't hit it one time. And then good pick off by Serva, great finish by Sebi.
So I almost think that, like, the Olays, like, forced us to want to keep passing when maybe it wasn't the right decision. And yeah, and the field's dry, like we talked about. Laurent has to play that with some pace, but it bounces up, and I'm like, I can't play this one time unless I just want to hoof it. Even passing it back to Tyler, I thought might be an option, but I wanted to take a touch to clean it up first.
If it's wet, he puts that ball on the ground to you, and you're able to do something with it.
I could probably pass it back to Tyler even first time, but with that bouncing ball and everything, like even to Leggett, dude, that ball from Carrasco was like bouncing all over the place.
Yeah,
good finish.
But yeah, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but I should have just hoofed it and just kicked it as far as I could up the field. But that's not our style of play, and I think Bob will agree with me in that, saying that in the long run, you know, we want to try and play no matter where we are, but that sparked it for you guys.
Yeah.
Beware
then-
of the Olays.
Big sub. Baggio comes on right now, and he was an underrated sub in this game. He did very well in calming things down in the middle of the field for us. So something that, like, you know, you may not pick up as much, but Baggio was pretty good for calming things down and getting us on the ball a bit more.
And he takes over
Yeah,
set pieces, and you guys get some looks off them.
The other thing I'll add to that.
Some credit too.
Yeah.
No,
No,
I think-
Serv,
yeah.
I gave Serv a credit. He started this whole thing for us.
Right. I think the other thing that you'll notice, I remember from our team, was that goal, for better, I mean, not for better, for worse, but right or wrong, it took away some of our confidence, and we don't put any pressure on anybody anymore. It's crazy. We just want to keep you guys in front of us, and we never actually try and win the ball. So, like, I remember on your goal, Chris, Emma goes down on the left side, and we just keep backing off and backing off and backing off, and we're like inside our own box, and the cross comes in, and there's no one like actually preventing it, and it's crazy. Like, the goal really stole some of our confidence, and it gave you guys life.
Yeah. And like we said, in the first half, everything was kind of bouncing your way, and we kind of just seemed to be getting to second balls a little bit quicker here. So, turn of events, and you know, it ended up working out. I mean, you guys had put a lot of energy into and it was a little bit hotter than people will even remember. So you guys have put a lot into that first 60 minutes, and you know, maybe you're just getting a little leggy here, and that's the one knock on you guys is you guys, you know, keep trying to play, which I, you know, personally as a neutral fan now, I respect, but it's at some point, can you sit in a block of 8 and just defend for 10 minutes while you get your lungs and legs back, maybe?
Right.
Chris, you mentioned the inconsistencies across the season, game to game. Kyle in the comment section wants to know, did you guys feel that in the locker room? Like, how did the team perceive that? How did the team react?
Oh yeah, we absolutely felt it. We would put together like an incredible 45 minutes and then be crap in the second half. It wasn't just like one game was really good, one game was bad. It was more like throughout the game, throughout a 90 minutes, we were never consistently good. And you know, and it bit us in the butt a couple times. So
This game, spoilers as it's about to come up, it did not. Shockingly.
I think we'll see LAFC make a change soon too. Try and bring some new energy.
forget what happens here.
Yeah, you guys have the momentum now.
Yeah. No, they got the momentum. They're going to keep the momentum all the way until they tied it, and then suddenly, like, we kind of wake up again, and we played pretty well actually for about 5 minutes, I think, after you know, Ibra scores that goal, and then out of nothing, you guys get the fourth one.
So not for that moment, Chris, but I read somewhere that Dom Kinnear said that you guys kind of targeted when the ball goes wide that you could beat Moutinho 1v1 in the air, and they felt like that was an advantage.
Yeah, this is, I think it's Moutinho's first game starting, or you know, in
I think he started against Salt Lake.
He might have started. Yeah, he started one more game, but
I think he started against Salt Lake, but I think Harvey started against Seattle, I think.
So, you know, young kid, and I naturally was pretty good. By the way, I just fouled. Was that you, Benny? I fouled, or I was so tired.
It was Carlos,
chasing.
wasn't it? Or no,
Maybe,
it wasn't.
Maybe
Carlos.
it was
Diego
Carlos.
probably. No, I think this is Carlos.
Just chasing
It was
someone
Diego.
I couldn't even catch up.
Yeah, Diego's fast.
Yeah, no, I've been pretty good in the air throughout my career, and so being on the back post as a winger against a guy that's not as, you know, tall as me, and, you know, a rookie, we thought we had the edge. So, I mean, Ema.
Chris is so good in the air. You guys don't realize it. Like most teams that he's played on, I'm pretty sure Philly did this all the time. their goal kicks were just kick it to Chris's head, and he'll like out jump the guy and flick it on. Like, that was your guys' play, like off of goal kicks.
Yeah, we could, and I'd be cramping by the second half because I'd be jumping off my left leg so much, my calf would be cramping most of the time.
Wasn't it the third game, the 1-1 game, that you guys were targeting every goal kick to you, and then I finally like decided, like, I don't know if it was myself, but somebody just sit in front.
You and Harvey started just hitting me.
I was like, nah, I'll just take away anything in front, Harv, and then you crush him if it goes further than me.
Did you just see that ball from Ash right there? Emo, good run, and
oh yeah,
Jesus.
Also, the fans are now chanting, "We want Zlatan."
Yeah.
This is kind of where it descends into chaos across the board.
Look at this. Edward didn't even start for us yet.
This is his first appearance, I think, for you guys.
Unbelievable how good of a player he is now. But I mean, he you could tell he was a really, really good player as soon as he came. But you know, it always takes a little bit of time for guys to get adjusted. But I think this game he played really well when he came on, and he almost scored after the 3-3. Yeah, he's a good player, and he did well in this game. Although he came in to lose the game.
Chris, before we get Zlatan over here, we have another question from a fan who asked, "What was the best team?"
I think this is the goal, though.
Trust Gnomes.
Is this not the goal?
No.
It's coming up soon, though, because I could see everybody backing up from Emma.
Yeah, Ibra's subbed in for the second goal.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, go ahead, David. What was that question?
No, what was the best team you ever played on?
Talent?
Is Chris going to drop on me right as he's answering a question?
He's going to miss his own goal.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can still hear you. Yeah, there, you're back.
Can you
You're
hear
back.
me?
You're back.
All right.
Stay with us, Chris.
Talent-wise, this past year, probably, with Galaxy, especially when we got Pavone in. I mean, you know, both the LA teams that I was on were the most talented by far. In terms of an actual team, I would maybe go to maybe like a 2014 or 2015 DC United. Just no real stars, just a bunch of hardworking guys that were bought into a system with some players that could make some plays.
So Zlatan's about to come on, Chris. The day before he gets to LA, he meets everyone. Ziggy and his staff likes to have someone sing a song or tell a joke.
Yeah.
Do you remember the joke he told?
Yeah, I remember it. And it was.
Do you want to tell it?
I think didn't Ziggy tell it in the pregame, and it was, do you believe in God or something? Because I'm him. And it was just like one of those moments where you're like, all right, it's funny. Do I laugh or like, what do I do? You know, and it's, like I said, it's a guy that you've grown up watching and, you know, you've admired from afar. So just kind of like, not sure how I'm supposed to respond to that, but pretty funny.
That's
and then
how
as I got
my
to
entire interview with him, I was like,
right?
Is this dude for real? I wanted to laugh, but then he kind of looks at you like, I'm not joking, or I might be, and you're just like, is this a joke?
I wonder if
what's
he's like that, like at home, because he obviously plays a character, right? When he goes on like the talk shows and interviews or whatever. But like, is he like this at home? I wonder.
So I don't know what he's like at home, but what people don't give Ibra enough credit for is how smart he is. I mean, the guy like flips through 6 languages. That was a lazy header by me right there.
He didn't have enough power. The cross is tough, difficult angle for you to get too much power on it.
But Ibra is so smart, and so like everything that he does and says is thought out. Like he's just a witty guy. So a lot of it is in the show. Like it's kind of him. and you know, take. Some people love it. Some people, I mean, most people love it. Some people don't, and but it is Ibra. It's not like it's something that's faked just for these, you know, TV audiences.
Yeah. I think it gets him going too. Like,
yeah. Oh, and he loves that, and he lives off of it, which he's done it for his whole career.
Yeah.
So remember, David, you asked me like right in the beginning of the game how we wanted to go about and play this game, and we're still trying to figure ourselves out. But we saw like really good moments where we play and we high press and we make it tough for LA to get out. And I think right now we kind of go a little bit into a shell sometimes as to, you know, how we should play, not the way that Bob would want us to play, and we kind of, you know, concede space a little bit and almost come back to trying to play as a counter-attacking team. And yeah, there's moments where we control the ball, but when they have the ball as opposed to trying to really press, we're happier with just keeping them in front of us.
You see, Vela just like skips by people.
But he just pushed Kevin.
Yeah, watch. So this is when I talk about the field being dry. Look at the ball bouncing.
Yep.
And then I should have stayed here and just held my run because I would have been wide open. It ends up working out. But
I think this is is this the goal?
This
is it. Look at this. No one's going to the ball. Like, what are we doing? Yeah.
I'm telling you, if Ibra doesn't stay out wide, right? If it's anyone else, if it's me out there, Dejan wouldn't go out there because Dejan would be like,
that's what Dejan said.
Let them play it to Pontius. But it's Ibra. So he's like, all right, I got to like cut the angle off, the lane off to Ibra, which gave Ima the lane to dribble. And then you guys just aren't tight enough, like closing down the cross there.
Right.
But 100% Zlatan's presence changes the shape.
No, yeah, 100%. Sure. And that's what I'm saying. I think it's harder to play him on the very first game because you still don't really know what can this guy do or what can't this guy do, and you almost give him too much respect, and I think we did. As much as like he's a world-class player, and obviously he's going to show it in a couple minutes, you almost give him too much respect because it's the first game and you're not 100% certain what you can get away with and what you can't. So, like, you might as well just defend that. What is he going to do from there? Unless he hits, how many goals in MLS did he score from where he was over there and, you know, curling a ball like from 35 yards out? Might as well just play Ima straight up and let him play the ball to Ibra. Right. He's more dangerous inside the box.
Chris, we have a question from a fan.
Oh, hold on. Chris, when I watch you play, I always notice in your air. I mean, being able to get up is a big thing, but I feel like your timing has always been amazing on that one. I see that when you just jump just a little bit early, then so Moutinho, even if before he recognized you, doesn't have a chance.
Yeah, I don't think he realized I was there off of his shoulder that close to him. I don't know. I was always pretty small as a child, and kind of grew in high school. So I'm not, but I was still decent in the air then. So I don't know where I kind of learned how to time a ball like in the air. To be honest, I don't know how it happened, but I just ended up being pretty decent at getting up for head balls.
Look at what we're doing, but like you guys tying the game is inevitable now.
Elias Flores in the comment section wants to know, when Ibra comes on, is it relief or is there more pressure that like now you have to perform because he's playing and it's this huge event? Oh, Chris left us right as I asked him a question.
Can he still hear? He can hear us, but he can't talk?
I think so.
Guys, I'm here. What's going on? Say that question again.
There we go.
Well, hang on one sec, because now we got to do this.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Which
this is
I
good.
just noticed that Ibra kicks the ball at Beta and then starts talking.
Good on you, Chris Pontius, but keep going. Sometimes
You should have got a yellow there and then a red after his goal.
Stu, shout out Chris Pontius.
Stewie, thanks for the love.
Benny, don't waste all your coach's challenges right now, because you're going to want to use one in a moment.
Nah, people that don't know when I'm being...
He's got two left.
The people that don't know when I'm being sarcastic, you know.
So Zlatan gets called for the foul, which leads to this free kick, and then Tyler just hits it long.
Keep an eye on Ola just like throwing his body into Dayon though. Right here.
Yeah. What a goal. Who thinks to shoot that? Like,
not many people.
no.
I've never seen a stadium go as berserk as this stadium did in any MLS game I've ever been to. This was just madness.
Yeah. It was unreal. And at this point, right, you're just like, holy cow, 3-3. We came back. Let's just get out of here with this, and you know, a tie is good from where we were at. So,
and for us, it was the opposite, right? Like, before the game, if you tell us we're going to tie you guys at your place, we'll be happy. But at this point, we're like, no, we got to go out and win this game now. A tie will be terrible.
Jesus Christ.
It really is. It's the thought.
Benny, where were you?
Take it.
I was close to where I think Dayon fell.
So you see the whip?
Yeah, I mean, I see everything. I was probably like 10, 15 yards away max from Ibra.
My God.
I gotta say, my small little professional moment of being a broadcaster, I do actually love John Strong just losing his mind. It's very in the moment of like, what we just saw makes no sense, and all barriers go down.
No, and he's supposed to give Stewie the call once the replay comes on, and he's still yelling. Stewie can't even get. Stewie's like ready to say, "LAFC, you just got Zlatan," or whatever he says, and like he has to, get recomposed and say it a couple seconds later because
there's
John
no
was
way
still
you
yelling
planned
at
that
the top
either,
of his
right?
lungs.
That the whole thing just felt like they were just going. Everyone was just going nuts at the time, which is why it was so great, for sure.
Yeah.
Including Jonah and Gio Dos Santos, who have the Instagram video of them freaking out in their suite during this moment.
In which a team has come back from 3 goals down to get a result. Once in history has a team come back from 3 goals down to win it in 90 minutes. That was Seattle.
Guys, it's only happened once in history.
Twice.
Twice. Benny's updating Wikipedia pages right now.
I remember there were some crazy results after. I was like thinking this has never happened before. There's no way this has ever happened. And I remember like some crazy stuff happening, like this year after this game happened that was close to as weird.
There was a 4-3 game in Orlando the day before or that day as well.
No, but I'm talking about like a team giving up a massive lead. I forget because after this game we all thought, God, I hope somebody like F's up worse than we just did. Like, that's what we were hoping, or at least I was. I'm like, I hope somebody's up by 4 and loses 5-4 or something like that. But and I think some crazy stuff happened. I can't remember exactly, but
it was DC the year before in Seattle. They were up 3-0,
yeah.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
And New England had one as well where they were up. I think in Seattle as well.
That was a 3-3 game. I remember that game.
Yeah.
Especially in the rivalries, like it felt to me, at least from the outside, that this, after having a result like this, immediately changed everything. And similarly, you look at like New York, the 7-0 match, or some of those sort of devastating defeats are the ones that end up kind of defining a rivalry. This one just happened to be from the first match.
Benny, there was also a San Jose Atlanta game where Atlanta came back big in San Jose.
Yeah.
Hey, at least you guys didn't
Benny,
lose 7-0.
That's true.
There's always that.
Dude, Chris, what I was saying is, like, for the next, whatever, until, like, 85th minute or 86th minute, we get back to somehow, after 3-3, like, back to playing how we started the game. And we get a few chances, and it's like what you said. You guys were, dude, we came back from 3. Let's make sure we don't, give up a lead again. And it almost seemed like we kind of took, and you would think momentum-wise, you guys are playing at home. You guys are just going to crush us now and win 4-3, but right now, if you're watching the game, it feels like we're closer to the 4-3 than you guys.
Oh, for sure. We as soon as we Ibra scored that goal, we kind of lost our sense of urgency because we got back. I mean, you're down 3-0 and you get it to 3-3. You're like, all right, that's all we needed to do at that point. So our sense of urgency kind of went down. You guys were like, all right, screw this. We need to get another goal, and nearly do. So
Right.
yeah, you can kind of feel that and see that, you know, in the player right now.
It's a pretty big guy, by the way.
Massive.
Huge.
I just came off now, so I'm watching this
Yeah.
on the bench in agony, thinking like, please, like somebody save us. So, because I'm thinking, you know, the worst. One, that we just gave up a 3-0 lead. Two, that we might still even lose 4-3. Three, that I gave up the first goal. So it's just like all these things that I don't want to have to deal with after the game. So I'm just, please let somebody win this game for us 4-3, so we don't have to worry about all the, you know, mental mistakes we made.
What'd the staff say to you when you came off?
I don't think anybody said anything. They were all intent on the game. Maybe they gave me like high fives or stuff, but nobody said anything negative or positive to me.
Chris, this was your first start of the season. Did you have any legs at this point?
No, I'm dead. I mean, to be honest, at points in the first half, or even when they were doing the Olays, I was dead and I couldn't get out to my guy fast enough, and we were all a half step late. Servando was the one that, you know, actually got to Benny and was able to step in, because everyone else was a half step late everywhere, because we were tired, and me more so just because I wasn't 90 minutes fit. So
StubHub is a big pitch to chase on too.
oof, it is all of 80 by 120, or whatever the largest FIFA field you can have.
Yeah. Remember Beckham spraying balls for Landon running to the channels and just looking like, oh man.
Right.
Chris,
But that's
good
how
performance.
Arena got going for you guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Give me the oxygen tank and some Gatorade now.
Haven't felt doing a game here in a long time. You know, whether that's the Zlatan effect, the
But no, this was,
everything combined,
I mean, even if we don't score, you know, to make it 4-3, at this point, you're still like, this is like such a memorable game, and what like an experience to be a part of. And yeah.
Benny, did you
I think
guys
this is where
feel the
you guys get a chance here, I think, soon.
We have two massive chances. I don't think this is it. One is Marco. Marco was the guy that almost scored 100 times, right? So he had so many chances, and he would do the right thing more often than not, but somehow the goal wouldn't come off. And one is where, I forget who plays the through ball, but somebody plays a really good ball. It might have been Carlos. Plays it over the top, and Marco gets in behind. He chops, God, I can't remember who it was, Skelvik or Steris, or maybe even Romney that just came in and you know, hits the near post. And that was a massive chance. And then the other chance was huge, was Edward Atuesta. He had a shot from top of the box that goes about 6 inches wide.
Chris, you guys went 3-5-2 after this with Romney in the back?
They moved Dash up to winger probably and put Romney at fullback. I think that's what they did, right? So
I wasn't
think
sure if it
we're
was
still-
wing back or winger.
I know that we ended up playing a 3-5-2 later in the year, a good amount, but I think they just moved Dash up to left winger right now, and Ema came over to the right, and Romney filled in at left back. So yeah, I'm not quite sure if that was 100% it, because now you're just seeing two tired teams, and so the formation might be a little bit out of whack. But
There's the famous Laurent Simon slide tackle, though.
I was about to say, Benny.
It's the all or nothing slide tackle, man. You either make it or we're screwed. Here's the chance.
Okay.
Diego played it.
I mean, the fact that Arena's running like this in the 86th minute. Jesus. You forget about moments like that.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure. I even think, I mean, that chance is closer, but the Atuesta chance might have been even a better one, because he was like on top of the D, right on the edge of the D in the box, and there's no way Bingham's getting to the ball if it goes in the goal, and it's 6 inches wide of the post. I think it's coming up really soon.
Marco Arena, though.
I'll tell you what, you guys made it count. The minutes that you guys were outplaying us, you guys made it count, and we didn't. In 90 minutes, you probably outplayed us for like 20, and you guys scored 3 goals.
Then in the game at your place, we played well for 15, scored 2 goals.
Yep.
And maybe not even played well. We just capitalized on mistakes.
Yeah. You guys were our kryptonite, dude. I'm telling you, like, we were a better team, but we couldn't beat you guys. It was weird.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that.
Benny, you had a huge chance in on goal the third game, 1-1 here at Dignity.
Yes.
Ooh, I kept him inside.
Here's a Tuesta's chance. Here's a Tuesta's chance.
What a ball. Jesus.
That ball looks like it's bound for the goal. From when we were watching on the bench, I thought that was a goal. Because it's on the ground.
Yeah, he did well to get that off fast, too. Like a quick trigger.
Right.
Like, boom, boom.
Oh, my God, dude. That one's crazy to me. But, yeah, I had a massive chance in the game against them, the third game, the 1-1 game. It was 1-1, and I think it was Edward that played me through. Or I don't know if it was Edward or maybe Lee. I think it was Edward. But, anyways, he played me a good ball through. Like Chris said, he kept me on side, and I wanted to score. I wanted to make sure I scored 100%. So instead of taking the shot, I wanted to dribble around Bingham, except my touch wasn't long enough, and Bingham was able to, even from where he was already on the ground, like roll over and kind of, finger tip it. If I just like had dragged it a little bit further, it's a walk-in. But yeah,
Bingham did really well to react quick and not, because you faked the shot on it too.
I faked the shot and tried to drag the ball,
right,
but didn't drag it far enough, and he reacted well as well. But if I drag it maybe 6 inches further, he can't react anymore because it's too far away from where he was already kneeling or whatever.
He's either taking you down for a PK or he's having to let you go, and at that point you just let you go and see if you can make it on your left foot at that point.
Which might have been a struggle.
That's what I'm saying. We'll take our odds on that one.
Yep.
This is when Ola realized, Chris, he was going to have to do all the work for the rest of the year. Zlatan chilled.
And yeah, Ola, thank God Ola is fit too. He can run for days. So, but in that moment too, you just see how good K is in like body positioning and holding you off. It's annoying.
He's got those long legs too.
Yeah.
It's like a Patrick Vieira.
Yeah.
You think like you're in a good spot to defend people, and he'll just throw his legs in and body you out, and you just can't get to the ball. So it's either you're going to foul him or you just have to let him have the ball.
Yep, exactly. This is your goal, by the way, right here.
That's right. So, Baggio just with a great ball, and Ibra. What a finish. By the way, Ash hits that bouncing ball first time. We're talking about that dry field, but it's still bouncing, and it's an unbelievable cross by Ash.
I tell you, I wanted to disappear from my chair.
That's how I felt the first half.
Yeah, but I'd rather lose a game 5-0 than a game like this. Just like be completely outplayed from start to finish, and we didn't deserve to win, than lose a game where you do well and do bad, and like so bad in like 4 or 5 moments in the game where you destroys everything well that you did.
Right. Ooh. VAR.
I think they did VAR because VAR was already there. But it's too close to tell.
And
too close to tell.
You can't blame Tyler for trying to come out for that. it's just
Yeah.
it's Ibra. He's 6'5". Like he gets to things that normal players don't get to.
And even if he doesn't come out, like Ibra's still heading that ball. Unless you're taking the chance that Ibra's gonna head it right to you, you might as well try and go get it.
Right.
That was a great ball.
Calen, you've been here for for MLS Cups. Did it feel similar? The energy?
No, because that was the cool part about it. To be honest, like the cups were MLS Cups. I don't know. At that point, the first one. Sometimes MLS Cup can have a little bit of a different atmosphere. At least at that point in time, where it was a lot of people that maybe they weren't all local, and like this game was the first time, especially with the both supporters groups. The atmosphere was way better in this match to me than the MLS Cups. So yeah, this was one of the best live sporting matches I've ever been to. Probably the best as far as just being entertained and as a fan. And then yeah, I mean this is to me this is like a sports classic. This is a crazy game because I had friends, who don't always watch MLS games that from then on it was like everyone was watching this, number one, and it lived up to the hype. And then from then on I was getting texts, group chat that's usually maybe another sports league or high school buddies or whatever, and everybody was tuning in to watch Zlatan after this because you didn't want to miss something like this. You had no idea what was going to happen.
We have video review. Kevin Stott, who's been in the league since '96, is our video assistant referee.
Yeah, you guys, there's no chance that goal's getting called off.
Now, maybe if I had scored it, it would have, but not when Zlatan does.
That's not how it works. And then Zlatan goes on for the next 2 years to be the most intimidating aerial presence potentially in MLS history.
Well, the crazy thing about him too is you can't get too close to him, and then he has the technique too around it. So it's like he's kind of similarly that like Carlos is an impossible matchup because you can't foul him. He's too quick. He can get around you. If you drop off him, he's gonna shoot from distance. Like Zlatan was tough because the big center backs would try and body him up, and they were never gonna win that fight. And then he had the technical ability to kind of just get away from guys and didn't need any space to get off a shot. Chris, you saw it up close.
Yeah, we would be, kind of have no idea if a team was pressuring us well. Generally speaking, you'd have to kind of just lump a ball forward, and your forward has a tough time. The thing is, if a team pressured us well and we did that, we were coming down and having possession just because even between two center backs, he could pull it down off his chest. And then you have to worry about his passing ability beyond that, which was pretty good. So he's just one of those guys, and it's the reason why he's scored so many goals. It's the reason why he's been on some of the biggest teams in the world. He's unguardable. And just like Vela, it's how can you limit their impact on a game?
So real quick before we close up, we actually have his post-game interview with Rob Stone in which he mentions that he Zlatan's everyone. So let's go to that real quick. Or not. There he is.
In the 71st minute, Zlatan determined that the game was ready for Zlatan. And boy, did you change things, my friend. Let's just start with that first goal. What did you see leading up to that long-distance volley?
I mean, Camara jumped in the duel. I go behind as a striker, and I saw the goalkeeper went out. And, just put it over him.
He got the name right there.
I'm shocked that he knew who Ola was.
It's on the back of the shirt.
What was your reaction when that one hit the net, knowing what it meant for you?
I said, my knee is okay, so I was not worried. I was happy. Too much adrenaline. It's difficult to describe the feeling after you score a goal like that.
All the greatest players in the world, all the greatest athletes in the world, they see themselves succeeding. Did you have a vision? Were you able to see yourself succeeding in this way in this game today?
I mean, my history, when I come to a new team, I score always in the first game, official game. So I wouldn't let it down this time. I had to score.
It's your new rivals. And they were
That's a crazy stat, actually. If you go through, he scored on his debut for PSG, Man U, every club he's played for in his debut, I think he scored.
What is your reaction to the welcome mat that these fans showed you?
And they're only the best clubs at the best leagues and the biggest companies.
Did he do it for AC Milan? I doubt it.
I think so.
No. Stop.
I swear, I put out.
He's done.
I think I put out
There's
a tweet.
one team that it took him 2 games. I don't remember which one.
He's going downhill now.
Chris, is it true that the day before in the video session, he pointed out that Tyler comes off his line pretty far?
I don't know if it was in the video session, but I remember him saying at some point, I knew that the goalie, maybe it was when he was on the sideline watching the first or second half, that he noticed that Tyler was off his line a lot. So that's probably why. Well, I know it's why he shot that third one. But yeah.
To be fair to Tyler, though, he was out taking just like a free kick. I don't think he was thinking what was coming.
Benny, you said you hadn't rewatched this game in full. First time rewatching it. First of all, thanks for doing it on MLS Classics Remix. Great place to do it. What's your reaction now? What's your thoughts?
I mean, the one positive is that I'm surprised at how well we look we look like a team, that have been together for a while for large portions of that game. And it's cool to look back and think, you were part of the start of a team, the very first group that was there, a team that now is showing a lot of success. And my memory of it was, we had a good first year, but now they're, a fantastic team year 2, year 3. Whereas you can see it even in this game in probably one of our, biggest disappointments of our short career or short history. We were a good team and we showed really good moments there. So, bittersweet to have that kind of game go down as it did for us. But it was cool to see, me playing in there with Carlos and Mark Anthony, Latif, Rossi, Urania, all those guys, Beta, and kind of see how we used to play together. And only 2 years ago, but, good memories, even it being in that kind of situation, in that kind of game.
Chris, for you, first start for the LA Galaxy, fairly successful. A goal and probably the most insane victory in league regular season history. What did it just feel like rewatching it, and what do you walk away with it?
Just kind of puts a smile on my face rewatching it. Glad to have been a part of this, what has turned into an unbelievable rivalry. And just looking back on it, and our squad being a little bit shorthanded with some of our stars out, and guys making big plays, Servando and Perry and Sebi, Ema, and then we're all kind of battling, and what people probably, if you look at those lineups now, I would say that we were the underdogs, those starting lineups, and the way we just kind of battled back. And gave ourselves a chance, and then that was pretty cool. So,
Calen, for you?
I agree with that. No, I totally agree with that, and I think in the game will be remembered from Zlatan and what he did. But yeah, to Chris's point is there's a lot of players that made a little tackle there, a little tackle here that changes the game. But I think overall it was cool to look back on. And get these guys experience in it. Just even the little moment of like what it felt like to have the Olays hearing at that moment, and then just how that influences your decisions on the pitch. So, and then to see early LAFC, I think to Benny's point, you can see exactly kind of what they're trying to do. But I know Bob always talks about having like a process and building the team, and just the little wrinkles as far as the positioning of Latif versus Carlos and getting him in better spots. And then I think eventually they settled in, especially when they lose a tough match like that, on getting some more experience in the back with Beta and Jordan Harvey, and the way that kind of changed the back line. And then, of course, with Walker coming in as well. So, it was fun. I had a good time, guys. It was fun to look back on it all.
Yeah.
No one asked me, but I had a good time as well. Thanks for joining me for this one. don't forget, I mentioned it at halftime, but hashtag MLS Unites, launching on Monday. Of course, this COVID-19 pandemic going on across the globe. Every MLS team, players, along with coaches, staff, and the employees at the league doing what they can to try and help out in their communities. LAFC and the LA Galaxy working to raise money and donate to food pantries in the LA area as well through their partners on the medical side in Dignity Health and Kaiser Permanente with Body Armor and Cliff Bar. So reach out to MLS teams. You can follow along on each club's website about what they're doing on social media as well. Some of it's just for you guys, for the fans to enjoy soccer once again, to think about something else. And we're glad we could be here for a part of that. But this is not the last MLS Classics remix. We've got more remixes coming. I had to do that once throughout this thing. We've got one coming up on Friday. MLSsoccer.com's own Andrew Wiebe and Jillian Sakovic will be with the young Prince Jeremy Abobasi, as well as potentially some Atlanta United representation to rewatch the 2018 MLS Cup between Atlanta United and the Portland Timbers. And then we've got a special coming up next Monday. It is the 25th anniversary of the first ever MLS game. So I am going to watch that game alongside Eric Winalda, Jeff Agus, and Bill Hamid for the San Jose Clash versus DC United. All of those are at 4 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube and on Facebook, and you can go to MLSsoccer.com for all of those details. Does anyone want to drop a final thought in there?
Yeah, if you guys ever do a game that we win, that I'm on the winning team, let me know. I'll jump back on it. Don't call me for any games that we lose anymore.
Benny, you're a good sport.
Yeah, Benny, we'll search high and low. We'll try and find one if we can.
I'm sure there's
Chris,
one in there.
Benny, Calen, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. To all the fans out there, thanks for the questions and all of that. And, of course, you can go download BSI, the podcast, if you need to, because now Benny is retired and basically just me, but in Kansas City just doing podcasts and hanging out.
Barely. I got barely more hair than you, though.
Jesus.
Benny, we're part of the same tribe. You can't just come at me like that. And on that note, I'm cutting this off. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and have a great